Good morning, Rogersville. Thanks for tuning in with us once again. We're here at K-ROG with a special report. We've got Dr. Shawn Randles, LR Superintendent of Schools. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
I know we got a big issue coming up, so why don't you let the folks know what we're here about today?
Well, in April 5th, 2022, we have phase 2 of our no tax increase bond campaign. You know, we live in such a supportive community. Back in 2019, we passed the levy for increases in retention and recruitment, but we also passed an $8 million bond back in 2019, and that was for phase 1. Knowing that in 2022, we would have a bigger chunk of money available to us and to keep up with the anticipated growth.
Sure. So what are some of the highlights? I know you brought me some graphics, and I know there's some great graphics out there that show in detail what's happening, and those are all on the K-ROG page. We shared all of those.
Oh, you shared the website? And
the four or five graphics that came out, you know, this is the high school, this is the middle school. Yeah, those are on the K-ROG Facebook page, and so if you want more details about exactly what's going to happen, look at those posts. But yeah, why don't you hit the highlights for us?
Yeah, I would also steer everyone for the more details. We put bullet points on each one of those graphics on our website. Our website's very comprehensive.
And that website's logrog.net.
Yep.
Yep. logrog.net.
Yep.
Awesome.
So we have 32 million no tax bond. And so what no tax means is that we have 94 cents in our debt service levy right now. And you think of it as your home loan. You have a home loan and you've paid down your home loan and you want to remodel the kitchen. And so you go to the bank, you have some equity, and so you have some money available to remodel the kitchen. That's basically as simple as I can put it. We have some money available because we paid down a little bit and we have room to remodel and add on.
And so, I mean, obviously, as you said, our school district has always been really, really supportive of the school, very generous in supporting that and passing these almost every time that they're asked for. And I think I saw it's been like for 40 years or something like that.
I went back to 93. I had to go down in the...
Back in the 1900s.
Yes. I would have had to go to the basement and dig in boxes to go back further. But yeah, we've had a great supportive community since 93. Everything's passed.
But this time, sometimes people are saying some things like, well, if I vote no, my taxes will go down. And I don't think that's the way that works.
Yeah, and that's probably my fault for not messaging that properly. But just like your home loan, if you have some equity built up, and you remodel, your payment's still there. You still have not paid off your home. Well, schools can take up to 15% of their assessed valuation in bonding capacity. And so we have a portion of that 15%. I didn't figure exactly what percent, but we have a portion of that available to us. We still have a loan that we're paying off.
Right.
And so our taxes will not change if this vote does not pass. If this measure does not pass, we still are paying on our loan. The problem is, and there's one example on the website, back in 1998, there were 29 cents that rolled off. And that was great, rolled off. 4 years later, you had to pass a 35 cent, go back to the voters, 35 cent debt service levy to build a new high school. So yes, there was a short little reprieve, and then as a growing district, you needed more money to build a high school.
At that point, you're playing catch up.
You are. And for this time, our loan will not pay off. You know, there's no rolling back this time. We still have a payment that we're making.
So I have an English degree. And so for me to understand this, the way I'm thinking about it is I've got a loan. The school has a loan, and you've been paying on it for several years. And so the equity on that loan is paid down. So now you have a pool of money that you can access. You need the voters' permission to do that.
Right.
But regardless of whether you access and get to use that money or not, it doesn't change the payment on the loan because we're still making the payment.
The loan's still there.
The loan's still
for
there.
years.
Okay. So basically, this is just letting the school spend some money now. But whether or not this passes or fails, taxes will not change.
They're still the same.
Okay. So they're not going down.
They're not going.
They're not going up.
They're not going up.
So it's just, can we use our equity
Yeah.
to improve the school district?
Yeah, we need to remodel the kitchen.
Okay.
But instead of that, we need to add a couple extra bedrooms because we have more kids now.
Yeah. Well, okay. We'll talk about that later. So tell us some of the things it's going to go for.
Yeah, so if you've seen the Logan Elementary, you've seen the remodel that's happened.
Beautiful, by the way.
And so that
I went to school there. I had to like stand there and go, okay, now where was this? I mean, it's so updated, so changed. I was having a hard time. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's where I was in 5th grade.
the building is over 60 years old, and it's going
I'm
to
only 51, but
it's going to last another 75 years.
Yeah.
And so picture what we've done to that building, doing that to the middle school and the upper elementary, bringing our oldest buildings up to 21st century learning.
now is the core of the upper elementary, is that the oldest building? I think it probably is.
You know,
Oh, well, that's probably a question.
Way
You
back
weren't-
in the archives.
You weren't ready for that one, were you?
when the 22 one-room schoolhouses started consolidating back in the 30s.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a core of the Logan and a core of the upper that
Yeah.
were the Logan and the Rogersville before they merged in 64.
I remember.
Yeah. So, yeah, bringing all of those two oldest buildings up to giving them a new facelift
Yeah.
and making them better learning environments for 21st century skills that we're trying to teach.
Well, and just for anybody that's out there is thinking about all the pros and cons of that, those attractive schools attract people.
Yes.
And not that we're having a problem with property values right now,
Right.
But they attract people to the community, people that want to invest in the community, and that's a good thing. Schools,
Well, in
are
the city
attractants.
and a lot of the business owners around have said the single most determining factor of our economic development is the quality of your school, and most communities could say that.
Sure.
And so, as the largest employer, I think the draw to some of the housing developments here in our community, one of the factors is the quality of the school. I mean, we have a good school, but at the same time, we're growing and we're starting to be out of space.
Yeah. Now, the primary is one of our newest buildings. Is anything happening over there?
Yeah, at the primary, that is the last school that needs a community safe room. And so over for the last, it's probably been 8-9 years, we've been building a safe room at each one of the schools. And so we were able to do that in 2019 at the elementary. And with this bond, we would be able to finish out, and that school would have a community safe room, which would be open to the public there in Jamestown.
All right. And then the elementary school that just got the big facelift, anything else happening there? Or?
Yeah, and so the primary will also get classrooms. We're trying to right size all of our elementaries because they're at different sizes, and we want them all to have a capacity of about 500 to 550 kids. That's kind of a right size for staffing and for a small professional learning
I
community.
think there was 500 students in. I don't think there was 500 students in the high school when I was there in the 80s, 1980s.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think about 500 in an elementary,
It
but
kinda
that's what
is.
we're trying to do is right size each one of those elementaries. So our early childhood needs expanding. We have 38 kids on the waiting list. Well, Marshfield just in 2019 passed an $8 million bond because they had 40 on their waiting list, and they built an early childhood. So this will give us some room to expand our early childhood, and then that building will be pretty much complete. There's a few little other things. There's water over there.
Yeah, a little bit.
The Logan Elementary will go back in, and all the classrooms that were not touched, single pane windows, flooring, lighting, ceilings, most of that is a refurbish, but we will add 12 additional classrooms to that elementary to make it the same size as the others. And so that's the biggie at the Logan Elementary is the additional classroom space.
All right, then the upper elementary.
The upper,
I know that the math intervention specialist room is going to get away from single pane windows.
Really?
I've heard that.
Wow, she must know somebody.
She must.
No, that's the same thing at that building as Logan. Very inefficient, so we want to make sure that it is very efficient and facelift most of that building. That building has enough capacity that it does not need new classrooms. What it needs is a new library, and so we're going to build a new library information center there that will that'll give us back 2 classrooms, because the library right now is just 2 classrooms where they knock down a wall. Mm-hmm. And so we'll actually have a couple more classrooms available at that building, but that building's big enough and has the capacity to be a good size elementary.
Good.
Change the playground, move it away from the highway, get it back behind, but mainly facelift.
And then that lovely building where I went to high school, which is now the middle school.
The middle school, yes. So it needs some additional classrooms as well, connecting the shop with the old ag building, with the main building. So we'll have some classrooms that'll connect those 2 spaces, expanding band and choir room, and then, like I said, a lot of facelift. The main thing between the middle school and the high school that is, and a theme across the entire district, is safety and security. So you think of a playground. We just want our playgrounds to be safe. So we'll upgrade those with pour in place, make it more accessible, but also lighting and fencing and lock down all exterior doors and cameras. The bollards that are out front of the Logan that are lit up, you could still drive a car between them and hit the building, but grandma that's picking up your child won't mistakenly hit the gas instead of the brake and hop up on the curb, because they are spaced out to where they protect kids who are standing on the side. Little things like that you don't even notice are safety
and you don't even
security.
think about, really, honestly, until something like that happens.
Well, at the middle school and high school, it's traffic flow.
Sure.
And so we've worked with Greene County to try to get them to give us the road. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Then we kind of had a roundabout plan. They said no. But they are willing to work with us so we can get right turn lanes, left turn lanes, get a median on Wildcat Way, the Farm Road 174 there, and improve where we go in and out of the middle school versus the high school. And
that's great.
Make the feeling when someone turns off 125 that they are on LR's campus.
Oh, yeah.
And there happens to be a middle school on their left and a high school on their right, and it's going to have a great feeling. But the feeling will come from our design is all about safety.
Yeah. It's off script a little bit, not that we're on a script, but you don't happen to know if Greene County has any planned improvements for 125 itself, because there is such traffic flow out there?
The
I guess the overpass will make a big difference there. Yeah, that's true. Okay, and then the high school, which I think of as new, but it's how old?
It's the new high school needs a new roof.
And it's how old? Like 15, 20 years old?
The roof itself. So when they passed because
Peter went to high school there,
bond,
he's 23.
When they passed 24. The bond in, they moved in January of 04 or 05.
Yeah, so it's almost 20 years old.
But the roof was on it prior to that.
Yep.
So say they passed it in 22, the roof probably got on in 23 or in 03. And so the roof's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
On the new high school.
On the new high school.
A school could be 100 years old and they still have an old gym and a new gym.
Oh yeah, you said them and I pictured them in my mind when you said that, because I remember that distinctly. Yeah,
so I tell people we could spend $3 million on roofs and rooftop units and no one would ever see them. But
sure. And then, those are all the buildings, but I know there's some upgrades to some of the athletic facilities as well.
Yeah, we love our sports at LR, and most schools do take a lot of pride in what they're doing. And turf has always been a conversation, allows anyone to get on it at any time. And, as soon as the rain is over, it drains and you can have practice or you can have a game. So that's something that we've been looking forward to for some time. Us, Marshfield, and Aurora are the only 3 schools out of the 15 in our conference that don't have turf. All the COC and all the OC. So add another 20 schools around the area. And so, it's kind of an expectation of our parents and our society now. You have a cell phone, you have Wi-Fi, you have a Chromebook, you have turf.
You have turf. All right. Anything else you want us to know that I didn't ask you about?
Wow. I don't know.
Well, let's roll this back, because I know some people just joined us in the middle, and I want to hit that because we talked about at the beginning, about the tax issue of this. And so we've talked about it being a no tax increase bond issue, but the misinformation, or the people that sometimes may think is, well, but if I vote no, my taxes will go down. And as we cover that, that's not true.
Right. We still have the loan, and the amortization schedule on the loan is still out there years. Now, eventually, I should have known this before I came on, but I don't know if it's 8 years, 10 years when we finally pay those off. But when they eventually pay off, absolutely, at that point, they have to roll back. But by then, we're already going to come back to the voters and say, hey, we need more money, because have you noticed all the houses going up around ROG? There are over 700 homes and apartments that have already been passed through planning and zoning in the city. And we've averaged 35 new students per year since 2018.
Sometimes all in the same grade.
Yeah, we had 21 fifth graders show up in August last year. And so, yes, 35 new students a year. We can handle that growth with the little bit of capacity that we have, except at the Logan and at the primary, we're maxed out. But with those homes start building, we're going to see 100 new students per year until all those homes get built, and I don't see it slowing down.
Yeah, me neither. And so to recap, whether or not you vote yes or vote no, the tax will not change.
Right.
They're not going to go up, and they're not going to go down. Right. What the vote does is it allows our school to capture the equity that's been generated by the past 10 years of making payments. The loan balance went down. We're going to recapture that equity, use it to make all these wonderful improvements, and without changing our tax rate. And once again, voting no will not make the tax rate
when
go
down. When the recession happened and the interest rates dropped,
I thought you were going to say happens.
We captured some of those low interest rates and refinance and paid off some a little early, or we wouldn't even have had the capacity at this time. So we're ahead of schedule.
Well, that even sounds better, because that kind of sounds like we're getting to borrow this money at old rates versus what we may have to pay 2-3 years from now.
Exactly.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, everybody, for watching. If you have any questions, let us know. By the way, if you want more information about this, you can go to logrog.net or check the K-ROG page. We've shared a lot of that information on there, and get out and vote on April 5th. Thank you, Dr. Randles.
Thank you.
Yep, we'll see you later.